Welcome to this video. My name is Eva, and in this video I would love to talk about privilege and are vegans or raw vegans or people who eat a fruit-based diet, are they more privileged than other people, and is it possible to eat vegan if you're poor? So I personally believe that it is a quite controversial topic, and I want to talk about it, especially because some people might say that I'm quite privileged because I'm white and I get my skin color is white and I'm from Germany, etc. And I sometimes get it in my comments like, yes, you eat a raw vegan diet, but you're just so privileged. So I want to talk about it. First, I talk about veganism and privilege. So I recently read a study or an article, and of course you cannot be sure if what you read is actually true, especially with statistics. But in the statistic it was that most vegans in Germany were women who have higher education, a little bit more money, and they were vegan. And in people who don't have much money, they are not that vegan. And so you might say, okay, you have to be privileged in order to be vegan, but that's not true in my opinion, because for me being vegan is something that everyone can do, no matter how much money you have. If you have so little money, you can still manage to be vegan. For me, veganism is a question of mindset, is a question of you standing up for your beliefs, and it has nothing to do with money, because veganism means to eat only plant-based food, so no meat, no sausage, no cheese, no milk, etc. And eat that in order to help animals, in order to stop animal suffering. That is veganism for me. And you can eat a vegan diet that is so cheap. I mean, just imagine eating rice, beans, bread is vegan, or not every bread, but most breads are vegan. So rice, beans, bread, there's so much that is vegan. And of course, maybe nowadays in our society, people think that if you're vegan, you need all of the expensive things, such as vegan meat alternatives or plant-based milks, etc. But that's not true. I went vegan 7 years ago or 6.5 years ago, and back then we didn't have meat alternatives, or I think we had plant-based milks, but we didn't have really that much. And I was just eating potatoes, rice, beans, etc. and that's so cheap. I really believe that anyone who says that veganism is not possible because you don't have money, you just have no idea. You are just unconscious in that area because you have never tried it, and you just listen to other people and believe other people without even trying it. And I think it's very important to first try things out and learn if they work for you or if they don't work for you. But you have to try out things, because I think in our world right now, one of the negative sides of the internet is that there's so much misinformation out there, and what you want to know, or what you for example, you say one thing and you want this thing to be true, then you search on the internet and you find evidence for that thing to be true, but it doesn't mean that it's true. And yeah, so I think it's just important for everyone to try out things. So my opinion about veganism, for sure, it's not a privilege. Everyone can do it, no matter how much money you have. Is it healthy? That's the other question. That's, I think, a question that unfortunately, not everyone can eat healthy. And that's something that really breaks my heart, and I don't know why, but it came in the past years that for me, if children eat shitty food, for me it just breaks my heart, because for me children, they just come to the world and they have no idea, and they're so dependent on their parents. And if the parents don't have money or are unconscious about a healthy diet, they just give their children McDonald's foods and all of the shitty foods all the time. And that's just heartbreaking to me, because what you do with your children when you do that, every time you give them fast food, etc., is that you create a foundation of illness. And for a lot of horrible conditions when your children will grow up. So I don't want to be harsh on that, but in the end it's your responsibility as a parent, even if it sounds quite harsh, to make sure to give your best for your children and to feed them the best possible food. So for me personally, I would love for my life to be health a priority. For example, I would much rather invest the money that I have, even if I don't have a lot of money, to invest in my health. To say, okay, maybe fun activities are not that important, for example vacation or going to different countries, even though I love that, but it's not as important as my health or my children's health. So if I don't have money, I will still try to give my children healthy food. Maybe ask supermarkets if they have food that is over, like fruit and vegetables that is overripe and they cannot sell it so much, so you can get it for a cheaper price. And of course it can damage your ego, but I think health is more important than ego. So just really go find deals. Maybe if it's possible, you can even go and you have a work online, you can go to Asia and you really can save a lot of money by going there and eating healthy there. It might sound strange, but it's possible, and a lot of people do it, to go to a third world country and just pay so much less as if they would by living in an industrial country. So for me, my health is my priority, and eating fruit and vegetables is a priority. Do I eat all organic? No, because that's just too expensive here in Germany, I think. But yeah, I think, and I just think health is the most important thing. I saw people suffering from disease. I don't want to have that, and I know and I'm aware of the connection between the food we eat and just health conditions that we develop over the years, and I don't want that. I don't want to be sick. I want to have energy, so I invest in my health. So that's it. And I mean, you don't need to eat all raw vegan, you just need to focus on your health. And now let's go to the raw vegan diet. Is the raw vegan diet a privilege? I believe it depends on where you live. For example, if you live in the south of Spain and you have just amazing fruit quality there, or maybe you grow up on a farm, etc., then no, it's not a privilege, because you have access to fresh fruit and vegetables, the same as if you live in Asia, etc. However, if you, for example, live in Siberia, or you live in the north of Russia, where fruit and vegetables are just super expensive, then yes, I believe it's a privilege. So what do you do if you cannot afford food? What I would do if I would not be able to afford fruit and vegetables is to first just deal with what I have. Maybe eat of course a vegan diet, and then try to incorporate as much fruit and vegetables as I can. And then I would try to go to a different country and just quit my job, work online, and go to a different country where eating like a healthy diet is more cheap. And then of course try to work so that I can afford eating healthy. And I would not buy a super expensive car. I would buy a cheap car. I would not live in a big house. I would live in a small apartment, because I think that a lot of people in Germany, they say, oh no, eating healthy is so expensive, and then they just buy this incredible big huge car, and I'm just like, why? Your health is so important, and you could, if you would buy a cheap car, you could afford healthy food for some month. So I think that yes, raw food is more expensive, and some people unfortunately, and some children unfortunately, cannot afford it. And I think we need to change that in our society. But very often, for a lot of people, they can afford it, but they might have not the right mentality, because the right mindset is to say, how can I do it, and to find ways, and to understand, okay, maybe in the next month or the next year I cannot afford it, but then I will be able to afford it, because I will work my ass off to be able to afford that. So yeah, just to get in a different mentality. Also, what can help is to sprout, because that's very cheap, or to Some people go containering, I don't know the English word, but it's basically when the supermarkets throw away the food that they cannot sell or that they don't want to sell anymore, which is just absolutely disgusting and disturbing that this is still happening. Then, you know, they just throw away food, and on the other side of the world people are starving. However, you can just, I mean, it's not allowed, but some people still do it. And yeah, you know, I think often if like you can find a way, and don't forget that, you know, also meat products, they also cost money, so don't forget that. Yeah, but I'm for sure not everyone can do a raw vegan diet in that moment. And yes, and it takes a lot of work and effort into it. And now I want to talk about privilege. So I personally believe that life is not fair. There are good people who die, or good people who grow up in terrible, terrible families where maybe the dad or the mom is abusive, and it's just not fair. I don't believe life is fair. And that's just how it is. You know, there are good people who die and bad people who are horrible people, and they live. That's just how it is. The world is not fair. That given, it does not mean that you should give up on your dreams, because just because you had a terrible childhood, or just because you had terrible things happen to you, it really depends on your mindset, what you want to make out of your life. And I think there are people who had just terrible accidents happen, and maybe they lost their legs, and they still, and some people, they fall in depression or they commit suicide, and other people, they say, okay, this happened to me, that's horrible, 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 I'm a sad person, however I cannot change it, so I have to make the best out of it to change my life for the better, and to do the things that I can do with that. And they're just incredible like success stories. And of course, like, success is always very different. For some people success means financial independence or financial freedom. For other people it means just being happy with yourself. For me, success means to have goals and to go after your goals. Like, and the goals can be so different, like being a good mom, or having, like, building a multi-million-dollar company, whatever it is, but just to have something and to empower yourself, to believe in yourself, and to think you can do it, and to work on that every single day. For me, that is success. So yeah, and to just go out of that mindset, because like when someone, for example, like comments on my videos and says like, you're so privileged, I like, eating that way is just not possible. What you do to yourself is first you judge me, because you don't know my story. I mean, I just share on YouTube, for example, what I want to share with you, like recipe videos or talking about different topics. But really, in my personal life, things that happened to me, you have no idea about that. So you just judge me and say, oh, my life is so perfect, when it really, I have gone through some things that I just don't want to share on YouTube. And I think that's important to understand, that people go through some things that they personally don't like to share. So really important. And the second thing, what this person does is to put themselves in a victim mentality, in a mentality that is very dangerous, because this victim mentality of saying, oh, like, you're just, life happens just to you, and you're just like, you're here and then life happens and you get bounced. And that mentality is super, super dangerous, because when you're in that victim mentality, you cannot do anything. You just react, and that's terrible, because you will see your life pass by. It's like you work in a terrible job and you say, oh man, I just hate that job, every single day for 20 years, and you never do anything about it. That's victim mentality. Or you're in a relationship that you hate, and your partner is maybe abusive, and you say, oh, I'm in that relationship, I hate it, for 20 years, and you never do anything about it. That's also victim mentality. And of course, like, it's super, super difficult to change your situation, depends on where you are. But the important thing, and I think the very important thing, is to say, okay, maybe my situation is really bad, or the conditions that I grew up with are really bad, but how can I change that? And that's how you empower yourself. It's really about empowering. To understand life is not fair. Some people are more privileged than me, for example. You know, I grew up in a family that was super abusive, or I got, you know, like people were mean to me in school, etc. And that's so sad, and I'm very sorry to you, but to understand that you have the power to change your life, and if your life was really bad in the past, it can get better in the future, and to just empower yourself to change. And that's really what I want to give to you. That's the way that you become successful, and the way that you have a good life is really, it all starts and ends with you and your mindset. So that's my take on privilege. And if you have any questions about that, you can, or you have a different opinion, then text them in the comment section. I would love to know more, because yeah, I'm just always interested and curious about different people's opinion, because then I can learn from other people and change my opinion if necessary. And before I end the video, I want to talk about the amazing raw vegan bundle. It's an amazing offer that is just gonna be available for 11 days from the 20th of November until the 1st of December, and I've made a whole video about the raw vegan bundle where I go into specifics, so if you're interested, check it out. And it's gonna be just available in the year 2021. So it's amazing, definitely. Like, if you have not already, check it out. You will never have this offer ever in your life again. And all the ebooks have never been released before, or the e-courses have never been released before. So definitely check it out. I'm super proud to be a part of it and to help you become a better version of yourself and a healthier version of yourself. So I hope you have a wonderful day. Much love, and see you in my next video. And don't forget to check out the raw vegan bundle. The link is in the comment section or in the info box. Bye bye.